My dear friends, one of the most important questions we can ever ask ourselves is, God, what do I truly want to achieve in life? Some people chase money, others chase fame, some run after success, and a few search for happiness. But have you noticed? The ones who achieve everything outside sometimes feel empty inside, ours and God, while those who may not have much externally often radiate joy. Achievement in life is not about ticking boxes or collecting trophies, God. It is about discovering meaning. It is about aligning your heart, your purpose, and your actions. Imagine 16 hours in God. Imagine standing at the end of your life and looking back. Will you be proud of the car you drove? Or will you smile at the memories of the lives you touched? And God, achievement is not only about reaching the peak of the mountain, but also about enjoying the climb, helping others climb with you, and finding beauty in the journey itself. The question, therefore, is not just, what do I achieve? But who do I become in the process? True achievement is not measured by possessions, but by the peace you carry in your heart. Many people live their lives constantly collecting things: money, gadgets, cars, clothes, hours, and God, houses. And although these things bring temporary excitement, they rarely bring lasting peace. You buy a new phone today, and after a few months, the excitement fades when another model comes out. You get a new car, and after some time, it just becomes another vehicle to take you from one place to another. If we measure achievement only by possessions, then we are setting ourselves up for a life of endless dissatisfaction, because the world will always offer something bigger, better, and newer. Real peace, however, comes not from what you hold in your hands, but from what you hold in your heart. Think about it, 16 hours and God. There are countless stories of wealthy individuals who seem to have everything, but still battle sleepless nights, stress, and emptiness. On the other hand, you may come across someone with very little material wealth who radiates joy and calmness. This difference comes down to where they derive their sense of achievement from. If your achievement is linked to peace of mind, gratitude, and contentment, then it cannot be stolen by the fluctuations of the world. And God. But if your achievement is tied only to possessions, then the moment you lose them, you also lose your happiness. Peace is not passive, it is an active choice. It means living in alignment with your values, not betraying your conscience, and keeping relationships healthy. Even if you succeed materially, but you sacrifice your inner through dishonesty, greed, or exploitation, can you really call that an achievement? God, a peaceful heart allows you to enjoy whatever you have, whether big or small. It allows you to face challenges without being consumed by them. It helps you smile not because everything is perfect, but because you have accepted life at ease and found calmness within it. When you define achievement this way, life changes. You no longer compare yourself with others who have more, because your peace is not dependent on their possessions. You start living more simply, valuing experiences over things, valuing moments over materials. And in that state of mind, you can still aim high, work hard, and achieve external success and God. But you will carry it with lightness. You won't be a slave to possessions. Instead, you'll be their master. That is the beauty of redefining achievement. Not as a number in your bank account, but as a sense of tranquility in your soul. 16 hours and God's success without purpose often feels like winning a race in the wrong direction. Many of us are trained from a young age to chase success. Good grades, a high-paying job, a big house, a respectable title. And yes, success can look beautiful on the outside. 26 hours. But if it isn't aligned with your inner calling, if it doesn't give meaning to your life, then no matter how fast you run, you will end up feeling unfulfilled. Imagine boarding a train that is moving quickly. The scenery is flying past. The seats are comfortable, but halfway through the journey, you realize you're going to the wrong city. Would you call that a successful trip? The same applies to life. Success without direction or purpose can sometimes be worse than failure. Ours and God. Because at least in failure, you realize something needs to change. But in meaningless success, 16 hours in God, you might spend years climbing a ladder only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. Purpose gives success its flavor, its depth, and its longevity. Without it, success is like eating tasteless food. Your stomach may be full, but your soul remains hungry. And God, look at people who achieve extraordinary things that truly inspire us. In 16 hours, they don't just achieve for themselves, they are driven by a sense of mission and God, by something larger than their own comfort. That's why their success doesn't just shine, it spreads light around them. On the other hand, if someone is working only for status or recognition, they might enjoy short bursts of pride. But when the applause fades and the spotlight moves away, emptiness often creeps in. Ours in God, purpose doesn't have to mean something grand or world-changing, in the eyes of society. It simply has to resonate with your heart. For one person, it might mean raising a loving family. For another, it might mean serving a community, teaching children, creating art, God building something innovative, or even just being kind and compassionate in everyday interactions. Whatever it may be, when your success is guided by purpose, the effort itself becomes rewarding, not just the outcome. You begin to enjoy the process because you know why you are doing it. God without purpose, life becomes a checklist. Degree, job, marriage, house, retirement. And then one day you look back and wonder what it was all for. But with purpose, every achievement feels connected, every step feels meaningful, and even setbacks feel like part of the journey instead of failures. Purpose transforms success from being a lonely climb to a fulfilling journey. That is why, before chasing success, it's worth pausing and asking yourself, why am I doing this? 18 hours in God. What is the greater meaning behind this effort? Because if the why is strong, the what, how will automatically find their way. Lasting happiness comes from contribution, not just consumption. We live in a world that constantly tells us that if we buy more, collect more, or experience more luxuries, we will finally feel satisfied. But if that were true, and God, the people with the most money, the biggest houses, or the fanciest vacations would be the happiest. And yet, we see so many examples of people who have everything that society calls success, but still feel restless, lonely, or empty inside. That's because consumption can only bring pleasure, but not deep fulfillment. Pleasure fades, but fulfillment lasts. True happiness is born when we shift from asking, God, what can I get? To what can I give? Contribution changes the very chemistry of our hearts, in ours and God. Think of the times you've helped someone genuinely in need, whether it was offering your time, your skills, your resources, or even just listening with kindness. That feeling you get in that moment is far deeper than the thrill of buying something new. Because when you contribute, you feel connected to others, to a greater purpose, and to life itself. Consumption is self-centered, but contribution is life-centered. And the truth is, human beings are wired to find meaning in connection. That's why giving makes us happier than just taking. Ours and God, contribution doesn't always mean grand gestures like donating millions or building schools. God, it can be as simple as smiling at a stranger, helping a colleague without expecting credit, sharing knowledge that uplifts others, or taking care of a loved one when they are down. These small acts of contribution plant seeds of happiness, not just in others' lives, but in our own hearts. When we live only for ourselves, our world becomes very small, and so does our joy. But when we live for others as well, our world expands, and so does our happiness. It's important to understand that contribution and self-care are not opposites. You don't have to neglect yourself to serve others. In fact, the more you grow, the more you have to offer. But the mindset must be balanced. I am not here just to consume. I am here to add value. That perspective turns even ordinary work into something extraordinary. A teacher is not just doing a job, they are shaping lives. A doctor is not just prescribing medicine, they are restoring hope. Even a student who helps a friend with studies is not just sharing knowledge, they are building confidence in another. Every role, every action can be transformed when you see it as contribution. When the day comes that you look back at your life, you may not remember every meal you ate, every gadget you bought, or every luxury you enjoyed. But you will remember the times you gave, the smiles you created, the lives you touched. That is the kind of happiness that doesn't fade with time. It grows, it multiplies, and it makes life truly worth living. God, building meaningful relationships is one of the greatest achievements of life. And God, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many degrees you've earned how many awards you've collected, the US for 16 hours and God, or how much money you've saved in the bank. If you don't have people around you who genuinely care for you, success feels hollow. Human beings are not designed to live in isolation. From the moment we are born, we thrive on connection. A baby who is given food but deprived of love struggles to survive. And the same principle applies even when we grow older. We may meet hundreds of people, exchange countless greetings, and have thousands of contacts on our phones, but the real measure is how many of those connections are meaningful? God. And how many of them bring peace and joy to your heart? God. Meaningful relationships are not built overnight, nor are they sustained by grand gestures alone. They are nurtured through small acts of kindness, consistent efforts, and genuine care. God, a relationship becomes meaningful when it's not based on what the other person can give you, but on a deeper bond of trust, respect, and love. If a friendship is only maintained during times of comfort, but disappears in times of struggle, then it's not meaningful. But when someone stands by you during your weakest moment, when they listen without judgment, when they celebrate your victories without envy, that is when you know the relationship has true value. In today's fast-paced world, people often prioritize professional success over personal connections. Many sacrifice family dinners, miss birthdays, and ignore friendships in 16 hours in God, believing they are too busy building their careers. But when life slows down and you look around, the absence of close relationships leaves a painful void. Achievements become sweeter only when there are loved ones to share them with. Imagine Dojin achieving a milestone and having no one to celebrate with, or going through a tough phase and having no one to lean on. Success without relationships is like food without taste. It may fill you temporarily, but it doesn't satisfy you. What's beautiful about relationships is they don't require perfection. And God, you don't have to be flawless to be loved. You simply need to be authentic. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable and open, you create space for trust to grow. And God. And when you take time to listen, to understand, and to support, you make others feel valued. Relationships thrive not on how much we say, but on how much we care. Even a few minutes of genuine attention can mean more than hours of distracted presence. In the end, meaningful relationships are life's true treasures. They don't depreciate with time. They deepen. They don't get outdated. They become timeless. When you nurture such bonds, the US 16 hours in God, you realize that success is not only about what you've achieved, but also about the people you've journeyed with. And God, the love you've shared, and the memories you've created together. 16 and God. Achievement is not reaching the top alone, but lifting others along the way. Too often, the picture of success that society paints is of an individual standing at the peak of a mountain, arms stretched wide, basking in glory. While that looks inspiring, it also feels a little lonely. You for 16 hours and God. What good is it to reach the top if you look around and realize there is no one there with you? No one who shared the journey, and no one who felt uplifted by your climb. True achievement lies not only in personal progress, but in the ability to bring others up while you rise. Life is not a solo race. It is more like a relay where you pass the baton, encourage others, and celebrate together. Think of a candle. When one candle lights another, it does not lose its own flame. Instead, the light only multiplies. In the same way, when you help someone grow, you don't lose your success, you enhance it. The greatest leaders, mentors, and visionaries in history are remembered not because they kept all their success to themselves, but because they empowered others, creating waves of progress long after their own time. Helping others does not weaken your climb, it strengthens your legacy. Lifting others doesn't always mean giving them material help. Sometimes it's about sharing knowledge, offering encouragement, or simply believing in someone when they don't believe in themselves. 16 hours and God. One kind word spoken at the right time can change the entire direction of someone's life. Ours and God. Imagine being the reason another person doesn't give up, the reason they discover their strength, or the reason they take that one step closer to their dreams. That is a form of achievement no award or recognition can match. Sadly, many people fear that if they help others, they will fall behind in their own race. But life is not a competition with limited trophies. It is a journey where there is space for everyone to win. In fact, when you support others, ours and God, you build a network of goodwill, trust, and cooperation that makes your own path smoother. Helping others grow creates an atmosphere of abundance and God, where success becomes shared rather than scarce. And when you finally look back at your life, 6 hours in God, the moments that will shine the brightest won't be the times you won alone, but the times you held someone's hand and pulled them up with you. Achievements built only on self-interest are temporary. Achievements that include lifting others are eternal. To reach the top is good, but to bring others with you, that is greatness. And personal growth is more valuable than any external reward. When we chase success, we often think about the outcomes, the salary, the recognition, the applause, or the material comforts that follow. While these things are pleasant, they are temporary. Money can be spent, applause fades, and awards eventually gather dust on a shelf. But the growth you undergo as a person, the skills you learn, the wisdom you gain, and the resilience you develop, these stay with you for a lifetime. That is why personal growth outweighs external rewards. It transforms who you are rather than just what you have. Imagine you are climbing a mountain. At the top, the view is breathtaking, but if you were suddenly transported there without the climb, the victory would feel empty. The struggle, the endurance, and the lessons you learned on the way up, that is what makes the view meaningful. In life, achievements without growth feel shallow. But when you have grown through the process, even if the outcome is smaller than expected, the experience feels rich and rewarding. 16 hours in God. Growth ensures that every challenge leaves you stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the next step. External rewards are often beyond our control. You can work hard and still not get the promotion, or give your best but still not win the trophy, because circumstances, timing, and other people's decisions also play a role. But personal growth is entirely in your control. No one can take away the discipline you've built, the patience you've developed, or the courage you've discovered in yourself. This 6 hours in God, this is why investing in growth is more secure and reliable than chasing rewards alone. Personal growth also has a ripple effect on every area of life. When you grow, your relationships improve because you learn patience, empathy, and better communication. Your career progresses because you gain new skills, confidence, and creativity. Even your inner deepens because you learn to handle challenges without breaking down. Hours in God. The growth you cultivate inside becomes the foundation for everything you achieve outside. It's also important to realize that personal growth never ends. Life will always present new challenges, and with each one, you get an opportunity to expand your limits. The most 16 hours in God, the most fulfilled people are not those who have stopped growing after achieving a certain status, but those who continue to evolve, learn, and stretch themselves. They see life as a classroom and every experience as a lesson. So, when you evaluate your journey, don't just ask, what did I get? Ask, who did I become? Because in the long run, who you become is the greatest achievement of all. The rewards may shine for a moment, but growth shapes your character, your values, and your very identity, making it the most valuable treasure you can ever earn. A gratitude turns ordinary moments into extraordinary achievements. Many times in life, we wait for something big to happen before we allow ourselves to feel happy. Like a promotion, a new house, or a major milestone. But if we look closely, hours in God, life is filled with small blessings that we often overlook. Waking up with good health, sharing a laugh with a loved one, having food on the table, or even just being alive today. These are not small things. They are gifts. But because they come every day, we forget their value. 16 hours and God gratitude is the art of recognizing these daily blessings and transforming them into sources of joy. When we live without gratitude, we fall into a constant cycle of complaining. No matter what we have, we focus on what we lack. We 16 hours in God. We may have a good job but complain about the workload. A loving family but complain about their imperfections. Or a comfortable home but complain about its size. This mindset blinds us to the richness already present in our lives. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance, ours and God. It opens our eyes to see that even the simplest things can bring happiness if we choose to appreciate them. Gratitude also has the power to turn challenges into opportunities. Think of a difficult situation you once faced. At the time, it may have felt unbearable. God. But looking back, you may realize that it taught you strength, patience, or resilience. Gratitude doesn't mean denying pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging the lesson hidden within struggles and appreciating how even tough moments contribute to your growth. In this way, gratitude transforms setbacks into stepping stones, and God, making you feel like you are achieving something even in hardship. 16 hours in God. Another beautiful quality of gratitude is how it strengthens relationships. When you appreciate people for who they are and what they do, even in small ways, you make them feel valued. A simple thank you or a sincere acknowledgement can deepen bonds more than expensive gifts. Gratitude spreads warmth, and when it becomes a habit, it not only changes how you see the world, but also how others experience you. God, people are naturally drawn to those who radiate appreciation rather than constant dissatisfaction. The most successful people are not necessarily those who have the most and God, but those who are most grateful for what they have. Gratitude doesn't stop ambition. It makes the journey lighter and more enjoyable. You can still dream big, work hard, and strive for more, 6 hours and God. But gratitude ensures you don't miss the beauty of today while reaching for tomorrow. It makes every ordinary day feel like an achievement in itself. By practicing gratitude, we learn that life's real treasures are not always found in extraordinary events, but in the ordinary moments that, when cherished, become extraordinary. Balancing ambition with inner contentment creates a fulfilling life. Ambition is a beautiful force. It pushes us forward, drives us to work harder, God, and inspires us to achieve more than we ever thought possible. Without ambition, God, life can become stagnant, routine, and uninspiring. But when ambition becomes excessive, when it turns into an endless hunger that is never satisfied, it robs us of peace. We end up chasing success like a thirsty traveler running after a mirage. No matter how far we go, satisfaction seems just out of reach. That is why balance is essential. Ambition keeps us moving, but contentment allows us to pause, breathe, and enjoy the journey. Consider a person who works tirelessly day and night, achieving goal after goal, yet never feels enough. No matter how much progress they make, they still feel restless because there is always something bigger to chase. Their ambition, instead of lifting them up, becomes a burden. On the other hand, imagine someone who has no ambition at all. They may feel content in the moment, but without goals, their life lacks growth and purpose. The secret lies in striking a balance, pursuing with determination, while also appreciating the blessings you already have. Contentment is not laziness, and ambition is not greed. Contentment means valuing what you already possess, while ambition means striving for what you can become. Together, they create harmony. For example, a student with ambition studies hard to build a better future, but with contentment. They don't constantly compare themselves with others or destroy their peace with self-doubt. And God, a professional with ambition works to climb higher, but with contentment, they still make time for family, health, and inner peace. Balance ensures that while you are building a better tomorrow, you are not neglecting the joys of today. This balance also helps us redefine success. Success is not only about reaching the destination, but also about enjoying the path. Ambition says, I will be happy when I achieve this. Contentment says, I am grateful even as I move toward it. When these two voices come together, life feels whole. God, you wake up motivated to work, but you go to bed with peace in your heart. Without balance, one either burns out or stagnates. With balance, life flows with both progress and peace. And God. Ultimately, ambition and contentment are like the two wings of a bird. With only one, the bird cannot fly. With both, it soars gracefully. When you learn to dream big while also valuing what you have, you live not only with achievement, but with joy, not only with success, but fulfillment. Achievements should leave behind a legacy, not just a memory. Many people spend their whole lives accumulating wealth, building careers, and collecting titles. But when they are gone, all that remains is a name on a piece of paper or a photograph in an album. True achievement, however, and God, goes beyond what you gain for yourself. It is about what you leave behind for others. God, a memory may fade with time, but a legacy continues to influence lives long after you are gone. The greatest people in history are remembered not for how much they possessed, 16 hours and God, but for how much they contributed to the world around them. Think about teachers, leaders, inventors, and everyday individuals who left a lasting impact. Their legacy was not the clothes they wore or the houses they lived in. It was the wisdom they shared, the values they upheld, and the lives they touched. God, when you focus only on personal achievement, your success ends with you. But when you focus on creating a legacy, your success multiplies across generations. It's like planting a tree. You may enjoy its shade today, but long after you are gone, others will still sit under its branches and be grateful for what you planted. Leaving a legacy does not always mean doing something grand on a global scale, 16 hours and God. Sometimes it's about being remembered in your family as the one who showed kindness, integrity, or resilience. It's about raising children with values, being a role model for honesty, or creating opportunities for others to grow. Even small, consistent acts of goodness can become a legacy that outlives you. People may forget your accomplishments, but they will never forget how you made them feel, how you helped them, or how you inspired them. And God, the problem today is that many chase achievements that are temporary. Awards can be taken away, God. Jobs can be replaced, fame can fade, and wealth can vanish. But a legacy of values, service, and love cannot be destroyed. That's why it is important to ask yourself, Will what I am striving for matter in 10 years? In 50 years, will it benefit only me or will it benefit others too? This shift in perspective makes achievement more meaningful because you are no longer just living for yourself. You are living for something greater. When you leave behind a legacy, your life becomes more than just a story. It becomes a lesson, an inspiration, and a light for others to follow. That is what makes an achievement timeless. It ensures that even after you are gone, your presence continues to shape lives, guide decisions, and spread positivity. In the end, it is not about being remembered for having everything, but for giving something that truly lasts. 16 hours in God. The greatest achievement is to live in such a way that when you leave, the world feels your absence, but also celebrates your presence. Every person is born, lives a certain number of years, and eventually departs this world. That is inevitable. But what makes a life truly meaningful is how it is remembered. Some people pass away, and within weeks or months, their presence is forgotten because they lived only for themselves. Others, however, leave behind such an impact that even years later, their name brings warmth, their stories inspire, and their example continues to guide people. For 16 hours and God, to live a life that is remembered with love and respect is one of the highest forms of achievement. God, living this way does not necessarily mean doing something that puts you on the front page of history books. It means living with authenticity, compassion, 16 hours in God, and integrity so that the people around you are touched by your presence. God. It could be as simple as being the person who always spread kindness in your family, who stood for fairness at work, or who gave encouragement to friends when they needed it most. When you consistently live with values that uplift others, you leave behind a mark that outlives your physical presence. The absence of such a person is always felt deeply because they were more than just a body occupying space. They were a source of light. At the same time, their presence is celebrated because their life was a gift, an example, ours and God, and a blessing. Think of how people speak of a mentor who guided them, a friend who supported them, or a relative who always carried love in their heart. These individuals are not just remembered, they are celebrated, the US for 16 hours and God, because their life was not just about existing, but about adding meaning to the existence of others. To live in such a way requires conscious choices. It means asking yourself every day, am I just passing time or am I adding value? Am I chasing only my personal comfort at 16 hours in God, or am I also making someone else's life better? The answers to these questions shape the kind of legacy you leave. It's not about perfection, because no one is flawless, but about sincerity and consistency in how you live your values. When the day comes that you leave this world, material possessions stay behind, but the love you gave, the kindness you showed, the lessons you taught, and the inspiration you spread, those will live on in the hearts of people They will feel your absence because you nattered, and they will celebrate your presence because your life was a gift to them. That truly is the greatest achievement a human being can aspire to.